Welcome. This is the time of year when many people are considering, should I run for the school board? Probably a better question to start with is, what do school boards actually do? When you think about the function of a school board, the National School Board Association talks about local boards are there to advocate for their community and their kids. They also represent the public's voice in the public education system. They also set the standards for achievement of the students in their district, and they help to measure the success of their overall school district and the students within that district. That's how NSBA frames the function of a local school board. Oftentimes, people get confused about how a school board is different from other boards that they may be familiar with. We like to call school boards a governance board in comparison to what's out there as working boards. For example, a working board might be a fair board, a booster club board, or a church board. If you're serving as a member of one of these working boards, you're an individual that does the work. You roll up your sleeves, you go help out where you're needed within those different organizations. When we talk about a school board or a governance board, you're there to provide governance and oversight to the entire school system and the students that are within that school system. Some of the ways that you provide that governance to the school system are through establishing great policy that helps guide and direct the day-to-day work that's happening within the district. We like to call policy the laws of the school district. The Board of Education considers the best practices, the legal requirements, and the regulations that they must abide by, and then establishes policy within those parameters. Another way that school boards govern the school district is through the directives to the superintendent. They hire one person and evaluate one person as a school board, and that's the superintendent. So in policy, it clearly states that the board shall or the board will. The work of the board is actually carried out by that superintendent. The Board of Education, as I just said, only gets to evaluate one employee, and that's the superintendent. In that evaluation process, the board has to maintain a focus on, is the superintendent helping us communicate effectively and efficiently with our people in the community and talking about the great things happening in the schools. The superintendent evaluation should also include goals and priorities that the board has agreed upon that need to be moved forward in the coming year. The superintendent evaluation process is an ongoing process where you collaborate and discuss and work with the superintendent to ensure that the district is moving forward. Setting goals for the school district is one of the most important priorities that the Board of Education does. These goals have to align with two parts: the wishes and desires of the community, but also the needs of the students. So the boards of education should annually be looking at what are the priorities that we have as a community, and then what are the needs of our students, and then defining goals that need to be moved forward in the coming months. Negotiations with teachers is another critical role that school board members engage in as part of their responsibility. The negotiations with your teachers are an opportunity to sit down with staff, talk about working conditions and the environment that those teachers are working in. The purpose of negotiations is to improve the overall working agreement and climate between the Board of Education and the staff that's in the district. And then finally, one of the most important aspects that a Board of Education does is establishes the budget. The Board of Education approves the budget and how the resources within that budget are allocated. The actual execution of the budget and the working of the budget is done by the superintendent and the district team. These are some of the key things that a Board of Education does. So if you're considering running for the Board of Education, you should ask yourself, are those the reasons that I want to serve on a school board?